friends, welcome to the Enneagram Workshops coaching conversations. This week we're going to talk about your core number versus your wing, especially in instances where the wing feels very dominant. So let's back up a little bit. Every number has two potential wings. So you will have your core number, mine is 3, for example, and the only wings that are available to me is my 2 wing on one side or my 4 wing on the other side. And these wings can either be just 1, or I could have a balance of 2, or I could have no wings and just be a straight 3. It really depends person to person. This is what gives each of us our own unique individual flavor. So even though your core desire is your core desire, and that's never changing, the way that it manifests can look a little bit different depending on which wing that you have. Now, there are some people who seem to have a difficulty knowing whether they are their core number or their wing, because their wing is so strong that it almost feels like they're both equally as applicable in their lives. Here's what I found through several coaching opportunities that I've had this week. Take into consideration how you grew up. This seems to come up time and time again. As I converse with people and I ask them some of those deeper questions, when you were a child, what was most important to you? What kind of influence did your parents have on you? What kind of influence did your environment have on you growing up? And it becomes very apparent as we think back to that environment that was there in the formative years. It tends to come up that the wing that feels so strong was almost a defense mechanism that had to develop in order for the child to survive. But when we really dig into those core fears and those core desires, it becomes very clear which one is the actual core number and which one is the wing. So if you are having difficulty determining which is which, I think it's a very worthwhile exercise to go back to your childhood and kind of look around you. One of my clients, for example, had a very argumentative family. Her father was very argumentative, her siblings were very argumentative, and she was the youngest. And so she wasn't sure if she was a 1 or a 9. Type 1's core desire is to be good, to have everything in their world be perfect, and type 9's core desire is to have peace and to have everyone be at peace. And what we discovered is that her core desire actually was a 1, but because of the argumentative environment that she grew up in, she took on a lot of that 9 wing energy just in order to maintain peace, just in order to maintain some sort of sanity. Another client that I was working with was not sure if she was between a type 1 or a type 2. Type 1, like I said, their core desire is to be good for the reason and the purpose of being good. Type 2s are more oriented to those around them. They want to be loved and accepted, and they want to be connected to the people around them and be received well by the people around them. And so as I began asking this client questions about their motivations for why they do what they do, it became very clear that the environment that this client was working in was so demanding and so rigid that they were taking on the energy of the perfectionist 1 in order to survive in that challenging environment. And this wasn't even a childhood thing. This was a recent environment that this person was functioning in. But that really indicated to me that left alone to themselves, that client at the core was a type 2. It was hard to figure out though. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because yes, your core desire, you're born with it. It's not really influenced by where you grew up, but your wings definitely can be. You can take on some of that energy depending on if you're in a very stressful environment, depending on how you grew up, depending on the strong people in your life and what they demand from you. That can heavily influence you having a very strong wing. So hopefully this was helpful to you. My challenge to you, if you are in that space of being in between 2 numbers, not knowing if it's your wing or your core number or your core number or your wing, take a look at your environment and ask yourself, of the 2 numbers that I am considering, which one feels like it's a reaction to my environment and which one feels like no matter what environment I'm in, I always come back to that. If I was in a peaceful place, would I still crave peace or would I crave to be good? If I was in a loving environment, would I still try to be perfect in everything, or would I revert back into just wanting to love others and be loved by others? That is a great question to ask yourself. Take some time to journal through it. Take some time to have conversations with other Enneagram friends that you have, and feel free to reach out to me if you need some more one-on-one coaching. I have coaching sessions available. I would love to talk you through it. And it's been really exciting for me to be able to work with my clients and help them settle into which is their core number and which is just a strong wing. That's when we can really get to work.